Okay, so it's really normal to feel anxious about speaking in public. In fact, it's probably more normal to feel anxious about it than it is to not feel anxious about it, right? I have a mentorship program where I have these wonderful mentees that I look after, and I get to familiarize myself so well with their imposter syndrome, these brilliant people and these amazing dentists, but they've still got imposter syndrome. The point is that we're going to feel nervous, and it's okay to feel nervous, and that might never go away. But what do we do about it, and how do we overcome it? Most people would rather do almost anything than speak in public. But as dentists, communication is one of the most powerful skills we can develop. It's so, so important. It's not only about public speaking, it's about communicating with patients, it's about creating an online presence if you decide to do that, it's about communicating with your peers, it's about treatment plans. You know, there's so many different ways that we need to be able to communicate, and it's such an important part of what we do. So I graduated from King's. I always say I graduated from Guy's because I went to Guy's. And then I was thinking about, when did I first have to present? You know, I don't even remember when I first had to present, because it's such a part of our journey. Like, probably, maybe already you guys have been asked to present. I mean, you will have, because you'll have been at school and you'll have done some project and you'll have had to go to the front of your class and you'll have had to present it, and you would have felt some nerves about it, even though it's your own peers who you've been at school with for the last however many years. You still feel a bit nervous, like, oh, I'm going to tell them something that I've created, and how are they going to react? And when did I realize that communication mattered? Probably later on, like probably when I was younger. I had those emotions when it came to presenting, and I thought, oh, this makes me feel a little bit awkward standing at the front here. But I think it was once I continued my journey as a dentist, once I got into practice, once I had to communicate to my patients what it was that I thought they should do with their mouths, and I wanted them to understand me, and I wanted them to believe me, and I wanted them to trust me, and I wanted them to understand that what I was telling them was for their best. It wasn't because I was trying to sell something. It wasn't because I was trying to make money. Like, all these things go around in your head once you're a dentist, that you think people are thinking about you, and you want to make sure that you're communicating effectively so that your patients understand where it is that you're coming from. You're coming from a place of helping them. And then stepping out of the practice, you know, where does communication matter outside of that? You know, I have things to say. I started joining committees within dentistry and boards. You know, I sat on the board of the British Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry for many years, and now I sit on the board of the British Association of Private Dentistry, and they are boardrooms full of men. When I was on the BACD board, I was the only woman on the board, and when I left 3 or 4 years later, they were all men. There was no woman on the board. And similarly, now with the BAPD, they've made a lot of effort to balance the boards. There was this whole movement within dentistry to balance the boards, and so there's an equal number of men and women within the board. But you know, men somehow seem to have less of an imposter syndrome about speaking up. I find, in my personal experience, that when you're in a room of men and women, that, you know, men might be like, well, I think we should do this, and that's a rubbish idea, let's not do that. And a woman might have all those thoughts going through her head, but we might think 10 times before we actually say what it is that we're thinking. We're a little bit more nervous about how people are going to react, and should we speak up? And that may be cultural. It may be to do with the way we're brought up within the different sexes. I wonder whether within most cultures at home, men are encouraged, or boys are encouraged to, like, well, yeah, speak up, and nothing's been said about it. And women are encouraged, like, okay, don't be too loud, don't make too much noise, don't use those words. You know, nice girls don't do that. And so that's maybe going a little bit further into the psychology of things, but maybe barriers that we need to think about breaking. And I think that when I started realizing communication mattered, and where that statement becomes impactful for me, was when I realized that I was doing that in a boardroom. So when I was sitting with a board and people were saying things, and I had things to say, but I wasn't saying them because I felt nervous about how people would react. And then when I did say them, I said them like a little bit stuttery, or not as loud. Then I realized communication matters, and I need to stop doing this. And the first thing is realizing it. And the other really interesting thing about communication is the more that you practice it, muscle memory, the easier it becomes. So the first time I'm standing up saying, I don't think that we should be making that change to this academy. And then someone else say, of course we should make this change. Like, oh, okay, that's the end of it. And then next time it's like, I don't think we should make the change to the academy. Of course we should make the change. Okay. As you practice speaking up, it becomes easier. The next time you say something and you say it out loud and someone says, I don't think we should make that change. And you say, well, actually, I think we should. And the reason we should is because of X, Y, Z. And then everyone kind of shuts up and looks at you and says, oh, you know what, you're right. And then you're like, oh, I'm right. Okay. and that's how you develop. And that's happened and that's developed over however many years. I've been a dentist for 24 years now. And now I'm not scared, actually, when I'm in these boards and I sit there and I argue with them all quite a lot. And it's all a bit like, oh, God, Manrina. And I don't care. Be, oh, God, Manrina. Manrina's got an opinion. I've got something to say. My opinion is justified. And I'm going to share it just as much as everyone else. So it's something that I've had to develop over the years. I'm going to go off thing, but maybe the other thing is even when you're talking to patients, communicating with patients, dentists really get nervous about talking about treatment plans. Dentists get nervous about talking about cost of treatment plans. It's kind of like, oh, you could whiten your teeth. Whitening is £495. I could just give you a £100 discount. And before you've even finished the sentence, you're discounting your own work because you feel nervous about asking a patient for £500. And we had a really interesting face-to-face day yesterday within my mentorship program, and we're communicating. And she was saying to the mentees, look in the mirror and practice saying it. Like, look in the mirror and be like, if you'd like to whiten your teeth whitening at my clinic is £500. Say it again. It's muscle memory. Keep saying it to yourself until it feels very natural to say it, and then you're not apologizing for your own fees. You're not asking for too much. You're telling the patient what the options are available to them, and you're telling them what the price is for it. So why do we always feel a bit nervous about talking about money? Why do we feel nervous about sharing our opinions? It's really a muscle that we need to work, and it gets easier the more that we do that. When I started dentistry, I thought the most important skill was clinical ability, but over time, I realized the dentists who really succeed are the ones who can communicate clearly and confidently. It is about clinical ability, but to be fair, we'll all have clinical ability. I don't think dentistry is that hard. You may agree or you may not. I think you could teach a monkey to do the things that we do, and we certainly are teaching robots to do the things that we do. What's difficult is communicating and being human and being able to have a human touch and be able to empathize with someone and be able for them to understand you and you understand them. And that's what we can offer. And actually, that's what's going to be really important for you guys to offer in your generation, because robots will be doing your dentistry. They're already there, right? There's already robots prepping veneers in India. So they're coming. The robots are coming. Public speaking is everywhere in dentistry. It isn't just stages, it's explaining treatment plans. We've touched on that. It's educating patients. It's leading your team. If you decide to become practice owners, then being a dentist is just such a small part of what your career is going to be. Being a business owner is a whole different career that you're not taught at university, that you will learn through the school of life. And you will learn how to lead teams. And communication is the most important part of leading your team. Presenting cases, you're going to teach colleagues, you're going to help each other. You're not each other's competition, you're each other's support. You might feel like competition now. I don't know if you do. I don't know how it feels I don't remember, it was 28 years ago at university. But when you're our age, you're each other's support. You want to be able to, I call up my uni friends now, one's a prosthodontist, one's an orthodontist, one's an oral surgeon, and now we've all been doing it for this long. Like, oh, I've got this case, what do you think, blah, blah, blah. And it's the best thing in the world to have your friends that you can communicate with. And then as you go through your profession, you start teaching. People are teaching younger and younger now. I interviewed someone for an associate position who was running a composite bonding course, and she'd been a dentist for 2 years. I was like, wow, I'd been a dentist for 20 years before I started running courses. But, teaching colleagues if you've got things that you want to share. And then obviously building out your personal brand. And that becomes more and more important. Again, in the current day and age, there's not very much that happens in dentistry without it being shared on social media. So you can't shy away from it. The day I gave a lecture here at summer school with Ivor Clark, last summer and doing it again this summer. And one of the dental students said to me, I don't want to use social media. I just want to build out my business from word of mouth. And I was like, that's admirable. That's admirable, and absolutely you can do that. And within my business, when I look at the accounts, the biggest return on investment, the biggest amount of turnover that we get is from patients that have come from word of mouth. That's always going to be the strongest way that you're going to build out your client database, because you're going to provide a great service. They're going to tell other people about you. They're going to bring people to you that are similar to them. They're already going to love you, and that's going to be a beautiful career. But you can only reach however many people through word of mouth, right? You can reach the patients that you see and the 5 people that they speak to about you. Whereas when you go online, you can reach 100,000 people. You can reach 4 million people with one post. You can reach 100,000 people with a story. You can reach thousands and thousands of people very quickly. And very easily. And I think it's a shame not to do that. If you want to build out your business and you want to do more of the kind of dentistry that you want to do, seeing the patients that you want to see, then social media makes that really easy for you. So starting from this age to be able to be quite comfortable with picking up a camera and chatting to it is going to be a skill set that will serve you really well later on as a dentist. And it seems like a weird skill set to need as a dentist, but you know what, that's the way things are going. So you can start practicing that muscle now. Your voice is part of your clinical skill set. Right? You can be the very best dentist in the world, but if no one knows about it, then no one knows about it. So your patients won't know about it. Your patients won't know about the beautiful composite that you've done on their lower left 7, the DO on their lower left 7. They'll never know. They'll never see it. Even if you take a photo of it, the most beautiful photography in the world, and put it on a screen as big as this, the patient will still not appreciate the beauty of that composite that you did. What they will appreciate is if while you're doing it, you're communicating and you're saying, this composite, look at this composite I've created. It's so beautiful. I'm so proud of it. Look at my nurse, look at this composite. She's like, wow, this composite is beautiful. It looks exactly like a real tooth. How did you emulate nature so well? That communication is what the patient will know about, and they'll go and tell their friends and family about afterwards. I went and saw, what's your name? Zaina. I went and saw Zaina, and Zaina did this beautiful filling on me, and it was so beautiful that it just looked like exactly like a real perfect tooth. She's an artist, Zaina. Patients love to call us artists, and I love to be called an artist. Why not? So yeah, that's about communication. Social media, we talked about social media. This is my Instagram page. If you guys use Instagram, then please take photos of me and videos and tag me and post them. I'm not going to mind if you pick up your phone while I'm talking at you. It's not that sort of lecture. My business is built on social media. My clients come from all over the world, and they find me on Instagram, and they see my work. They know that they like me, they've got my vibe, they've seen my clinic, they know everything about me. They know where I just went on holiday, they know who I went with, and they know what I ate while I was there. And it resonates with them. And the beauty of social media is that you can attract your own tribe. So you start seeing patients that already like you. And how nice is that? Then you get to spend your whole day with people that like you, and you'll typically like them. I love all my patients, they're a really great bunch. So yeah, that's social media. Fear of judgment, we worry more, I think, than men typically about what people think of us. Imposter syndrome, I think men and women both suffer from imposter syndrome. Maybe sometimes men hide it better. Feeling not expert enough. Doesn't matter how expert you are. I had a young dentist say to me recently, I don't think I can post on social media yet. I'm too young, and what are people going to say? They're going to be like, she's only been working this long and she's posting. Progress over perfection, and consistency over perfection. You don't need to be perfect to do anything. I don't need to be the biggest, the person who knows most about public speaking in the whole world. And you guys can ask me to come and speak here, and I'll be like, I don't know, I'm not the person that knows most about public speaking in the whole world. Simon Sinek runs courses on that, and he's the guy that knows most about it. I don't think I can go and speak to you guys about it. Wouldn't that be ridiculous? if I hadn't come here today, because I'm not the world expert on public speaking, you don't need to be the world expert on something to be able to talk about it, or to be able to communicate about it, or to be able to lecture about it, or write about it, or go on social media and talk about it. You just got to have your own views on it. And as long as you've got a viewpoint, you can share it. Like, that's the beauty of us living in England, right? It's definitely free speech, and we're able to share it. Feeling not expert enough to do something, like to say, I'm not going to post on social media because I'm too young a dentist and my work's not good enough, is like saying that. It's like saying, I'm not going to speak about public speaking because I'm not Simon Sinek. What is important is to be authentic. I think if I'd walked into this room and been like, hey guys, I'm the world expert on public speaking, and I'm going to give you the best lecture you've ever seen in your whole life, then I've raised the bar really high. And if I didn't meet it, then all of you guys would be like, oh, she wasn't really that good. She was all right. and that wouldn't be good. But if I come in and I'm just really honest with you and I say, I'm a full-time dentist and I own a dental clinic, but I've got views on public speaking and I've got some experience in it, and I'm really grateful for you guys to have invited me to come and speak to you today. I hope I can provide some value. Then you'll be like, oh, that was great, Manrina. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you giving us your time, and we're all on the same page. So what was important there was that I was authentic about who I am and where I am at my stage. If you start posting on social media when you're a dental student, then you're just really honest about it. You go on there and you're not like, I'm the best dentist in the world who does composite bonding. You go on and you're like, I'm on this journey, I'm learning, it's exciting, I'm excited about helping my patients, I'm excited that I'm working in clinics now, I've just learned how to do an endo. Whatever it is, don't say anything negative. Social media is not for negativity, social media is for positivity. But go on there and you can share where you are. And there'll be people on there that resonate with you because they're your tribe and they like you, and they'll start following you. And then when you become a dentist and you start working, you'll already have a client base. Like, that's awesome, right? When I opened my clinic, I opened a squat practice. I wasn't scared about opening my clinic because I knew that anywhere that I worked in the world, I've got a client database. They will follow me and they will come to me because they love my social media. And because of my social media, they love me. And so they will come to me. And so that's what you can do without being an expert. You don't need to be perfect. You just got to be authentic. Perfectionism. We're all perfectionists as dentists. I think by definition, that's what we're like. We're really hard on ourselves. We really want to be the very best all the time. We do a filling and we don't know if that margin was perfect or if there was a tiny little ledge there. We did everything. We used a matrix band and we used we used the best of everything. We had really good isolation. We used a wedge, but I don't know if that margin was perfect. And then so many dentists will then go home that evening and they'll be really worried and they'll like try and sleep and they'll be like, oh, I just feel like I can't sleep because I just don't know about that margin on that DO composite. And was there slight overhang there? And is there going to be an overhang and then that patient's going to get gum disease and bone loss? Or even worse, is that patient going to go to another dentist and they're going to take an x-ray and they're going to see the overhang? I should have taken an x-ray after I did the filling and made sure there wasn't an overhang. Why didn't I do that? Now when I go to work tomorrow, how do I call the patient back and take... It's all ridiculous, right? This whole spiral, don't worry about it. You need to stop worrying about being perfect and you just need to move on. You did the best that you can do and that's good enough. Comparing ourselves to others. If you compare yourself to me, then you will be really stressed. You'll be like, she's got a clinic in Knightsbridge and she does veneers all day. And she lives in Knightsbridge and drives sports cars and goes on nice holidays. I'm just not as good as Manrina, and so I'm just not going to bother. I'm not going to be a cosmetic dentist because Manrina's there, so why would I bother? That would be so ridiculous. I've been a dentist for 24 years, and when I was at your stage, I was exactly where you are. So don't compare yourself to me. Don't compare yourself to anyone else that's online. Go through your journey. All of us started out where you are, and then we made our way wherever we wanted to make it. I guess the point is that none of us made it by just being like, I'm going to make it because I'm lucky and that's just who I am. No one's lucky, and it's not who anyone is. It's so much hard work. And if you're not willing to put the hard work in, you just won't get anywhere. So that's fine. You can go and you can be a general dentist, and that's a great life. You can try and do other things in dentistry, or you can try and create a name for yourself within our profession. But it doesn't come easy. It comes through So much hard work, free lecturing, free writing articles, free working on boards, all of these things, giving your time free of charge. You don't make money for them. You do them because you want to do them, because you're passionate about it and you're passionate about our profession. And then by itself, you get the rewards for it. So that's how it works. Confidence doesn't come before speaking. Confidence comes because you speak. Yeah. So it's that muscle memory that we spoke about before, that you have to do it, you have to practice it. When you're thinking something, you don't know whether to say it, and then you realize it was okay, and then you'll say it again. And so that will help you to be able to speak up more. Okay, so there's 3 pillars of powerful speaking. I'll give these to you today, and then we're going to practice them, and you can take them with you and use them forever. So the first one is clarity. The second one is telling a story. And the third one is presence. And if you master these, you'll already be a better communicator than most professionals. So clarity. If you guys only remember one thing from today, what is it? Avoid overwhelming people with too much information. There needs to be a really clear message. And the clear message that I want you guys to take away from today is go out and public speak and don't be scared of it. And if you're scared of it, do it anyway. Like, that's what I want you guys to learn. And the examples, if you could talk to someone about flossing prevents gum disease. So that's one thing that you want your audience to remember at the end of the speech. I'm going to give this whole speech about oral hygiene. I'm going to give this whole Instagram story on Instagram. I'm going to make a whole YouTube video for you about oral health. And the one thing that I want people to do when they finish watching that video is know that flossing, when your gums bleed, when you floss, that doesn't mean that you should stop flossing. When your gums bleed when you floss, that means you need to floss more. It's like this really big thing in dentistry that we laugh about a lot. Like, if dentists hang out in the pub, then we're like, ah! Patients think that when you floss and their gums bleed, that they should stop flossing. And it's like a thing because it's the opposite. Prevention is easier than cure, and small changes in oral hygiene can make a big difference. You just choose one example, and then you want to be really clear about it. Don't try and be complex. Don't try and offer too much. Just be clear about one single message. And then tell a story. So, what's the problem? What's the struggle that they had? What's the solution? And what's the lesson that you learned from that? So I'll tell you about one of my patients, Hen. I love Hen. She's wonderful. I met her at a party about 10 years ago, and she's really beautiful. But she had buck teeth at the front and a lot of old discolored fillings. So she's very beautiful, and she smiles a lot. She's got a really lovely energy. But when she smiled, she kind of showed that crooked smile and those discolored fillings. And she was like, I was thinking about doing something about my smile. And I was like, I would love to do something with your smile. It'd be so much fun. It'd be such a great before and after. And she was like, I'm nervous about not looking like myself. And I was like, you will still look like yourself, because your face will still be your own. It'll just be really nice to work on that smile. And she's like, okay, let's see. So the problem is it's not a problem, but she's got crowded teeth with discolored fillings. The struggle is that she's worried about, will people know she's had something done? Will it look too different from the way that she looks now? Is it something that she wants to do, or is she just okay where she is and it's safer for her to stay there? The solution is that she just trusts me and lets me get on with my job. And so it took 10 years, and eventually she came back to me and said, okay, it's time, let's do it. Let's do the smile makeover. And so we did her smile makeover. And the lesson is that she's so beautiful now, and she was beautiful before, but it's such a big difference from where she was to where she is. And everything about her has changed. Her vibes changed, the way she interacts changed, the way she smiles with confidence and doesn't put her hand in front of her mouth anymore has changed. And all of that's because now she knows that her smile, rather than being something that maybe she was very beautiful, and then when she smiled, it detracted from that slightly. Now when she smiles, it's her very best quality. It lights up a room. And so the lesson is that's what we can do. That's the changes that we can make to people's lives. So I've just told you a story about Hen. Was that nice? Do you feel like that's nice about Hen, that she did those nice things? So the facts inform people about this is what happened, but the stories persuade people. They're like, oh, remember that story that Manrina told about beautiful hen who used to look like that and now she looks like that. So still beautiful, but just with this really lovely, clean, white smile. Presence. When we feel nervous, we do this, right? We bring our shoulders down and we hunch down and we try and make ourselves smaller because we don't want people to see us. And it's really natural for our body to react to whatever our mind's thinking. But you have to stand tall. And actually, if you stand tall, even when you don't feel like standing tall, you know, if you make yourself really big and you stand tall and confident, you really do feel quite powerful and strong. I do it quite a lot when I'm going to go in and do something and I feel like, okay, I need to man up. I consider man up. It's a term, isn't it? Should woman up. I really need to woman up here. And I put on some powerful music and the music makes me do it. It automatically, when I have the right song on, it makes my shoulders go back. It makes me stand a bit taller. And I find that if I start walking with my shoulders back and my chin lifted, I feel more powerful. And then, not only do I look more powerful, I feel it. So it's amazing that whatever we do with our body also affects how we act in our mind. This one's an interesting one. Speak slower than feels natural. I speak very fast, and when I lecture, I don't usually slow it down. And when I talk on socials, I don't slow it down either. And sometimes if people are like, "Oh, you're too fast, I don't know what you're saying," then I'm like, "Watch it on 0.5, dude. Like, that's okay. You can slow me down now because it's recorded." So. But yeah, you could try speaking slower if that sometimes grounds you and helps you to communicate better. If you're rushing because you're nervous, I'm not rushing because I'm nervous. I talk fast. I do everything quickly. Pause between ideas. If you keep talking and you don't stop and you don't take a break and you don't breathe and I just keep talking at you all the time, you guys are going to feel quite anxious listening to me because it starts feeling like I'm just like, why is it so rushed and why are you making me feel like that? Right? So we need to stop. Sometimes when you're public speaking, you think that if you stop, that everyone's going to get bored because I've stopped and I'm just walking. But actually it doesn't. It just gives you guys a second to reflect on what I've been talking about. And it also creates a mood. So pause, take a pause when you need it. Be authentic to yourself. Make eye contact. So there was a few times today when I chose like different people in the audience and stopped and kind of looked at you. And then like when I looked at you and you were like, oh, me, don't look at me, don't talk to me, don't ask me for my name. So sometimes it's a good thing and sometimes it's a bad thing. But maybe it will make the session more memorable for you. What we don't want to do is spend the session with me like doing this. And it happens a lot. Especially with new speakers, when they start talking, that they're kind of nervous and it's easier if I don't acknowledge that the rest of you are here. So I'll just look down at my hand while I'm talking, or I'll look at the door, I'll look up at the sky and kind of pretend you guys aren't here. But it doesn't make a great experience for the speaker because they're not actually connecting with their audience, and it doesn't make a great experience for you guys because you don't feel like I'm talking to you either. So connect with your audience, look them in the eye, and talk to them like human beings because we're humans and we love to connect. And breathe. Breathe, guys. It's really important to breathe. I say it to patients a lot. Patients love stopping breathing, and you're just like, breathe. Authority isn't about being loud. It's about being calm and clear. And that's something that I only learned really recently. I probably only learned that last year. And so I'll teach you guys that really early on, that it's more impactful when you say something. If I say to you, I'm going to be the best cosmetic dentist in the whole world. And you're like, okay, you're really into that. But if I look at you really seriously and I'm like, I'm going to be, I'm telling you, don't tell me. I'm going to be the best cosmetic dentist in the whole world. Does it feel impactful? Do you believe me? Thank you. In fact, if you whisper and people have to lean in to listen to you, they're really engaging with you. So you don't need to shout it. Say it slowly, say it calmly, say it with meaning, and say it with eye contact. And now we get to do a little exercise because it's a workshop. So I thought you could pair up. So pair up. Explain to your partner in 30 seconds why flossing matters. and then swap. And I want you to use no jargon, because you're talking to patients. Speak clearly, so don't mumble your words, and make eye contact while you're talking to them. So try that. Okay, guys. Back in the room. So let's have a think about how that felt. What felt difficult? Or did it not? Was it easy?
Thinking about what to say in like a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Clarity.
Yes, nice. What helped? Oh, did those pillars really help then? Clarity. That's good. Let's answer the question for you. Okay, so slowing down. They'll usually say slowing down, simplify, and eye contact. So, the things. Did you guys try the eye contact? Did you try talking a bit slower? Simplifying the jargon? It's really different speaking to patients than it is speaking to each other, because we get really used to the terms that we're taught at university all the time. It becomes like our own language, and actually it's our own language. Patients don't understand it. So we have to think back to like, if I wasn't a dental student, like what were the words that I would use that would make sense and that wouldn't be too scary? Like you don't want to talk about blood and pain and things like that too much. Obviously you need to mention them if you need to, but say them in a way that a patient can understand. So why can this skill change your career? Such a thing about leadership. I don't understand. I mean, I do understand why, but it's sad that in dentistry, the majority of lecturers, the majority of people that run academies, the people, even with large social media presence, tend to be men. And that's crazy because we're a female-dominated profession. But the men are running the show. Like, who runs the world? Men in dentistry. And so I try to be the change that I want to see. And so I lecture and I have an academy and I have a beautiful clinic and I sit on boards. I've always sat on a board for the last however long, 20 years. And those changes aren't going to happen unless we actively do it. Now, the reason that I think it happens is like with lecturing, for example, if there's a lecturing opportunity and it's some big conference, then the male dentist will be like, oh yeah, I'll go and do that. And everyone will be like, I know loads of stuff. And so they'll contact the organizers and be like, hey, you're doing that conference. Do you want me to lecture about communication? And they're like, yeah, cool, come lecture about communication. Am I ever going to message an organizer of a conference and say, oh, that would be cool to be on that stage? Let me message them and see if I can talk about communication. I'm never going to do it. It's just not in my personality to do that. And I don't think it's in most women's personalities. We like to be asked. That's how we are culturally. We're used to being asked. We're used to being asked out on a date. We're used to being asked, do we want to sit down? We're used to having doors open for us. And maybe that's old fashioned, but I do think there's still a lot of that in society. It certainly has been in my life. And so, so I like to be asked. And then I don't put myself forward, but men are pushing themselves forward. Similarly, with sitting on boards, it's a lot of your time that you take that's taken up without any financial rewards. It's not like going to work and you get paid for it. It's something that you do maybe for ego, so that you can be part of this organization and say that you're sitting on a board. Maybe because it's important to you to make a change, and so you feel quite passionate about your profession and you want to be involved in the way that the profession's run. But either of those things, whether it's ego, again, men, tend to have bigger egos that they feel like that need to be fulfilled by positions of power than us. We tend to be okay with we're okay. I'm good where I am actually. I'm quite happy in my life, with my family or whatever it is. We tend to be more content with that. And maybe we also don't always have such a it's difficult to say these things, but we don't have such strong views on the way that our profession should be run. Maybe we've been taught to be a little bit more easygoing about things and be like, it's okay. Oh, are the government doing that now? Okay, we'll work it out. Whereas men will be like, that's ridiculous. How can they say that they're going to do this with UDAs? We're going to challenge it. And so we tend to step back. But if we do that, then the boards will continue to be a bunch of men, and there won't be any female representation. And every lecture that you go to will be an all-male lineup. And, there's definitely a movement within Women in Dentistry, the Women in Dentistry networks, to stop attending conferences with a full male lineup. There's no need in this day and age to have a full male lineup. And when you challenge the people who are running these conferences, then they say, oh, we didn't choose them by sex. We chose them for the best person for the job. And I was like, it is impossible that every single person that was the best person to talk on that topic was a man in our industry. It's absolutely impossible. So you just haven't taken a second to think about it. All you've done is ask your mates or ask the people who have been lecturing up until now, which have been a whole cohort of men. So you're the next generation of our lecturers. It's really important that you put yourselves forward so that we don't have that. We don't have these full male lineups. We want the best person up on stage. Yeah, absolutely we do. But there's no reason why those people aren't in this room. Why it can't be any one of you that's the best person. So we want to be leaders. And to be a leader, we need to step up. So you can start doing it now. You can start being the head of a society. I guess that's what you're doing. At university, you can put yourself forward when there's shows. You can put yourself forward when there's mini conferences that you can speak at, when there's opportunities within a lecture theatre to present. You can put yourself forward because you can start exercising that muscle memory that allows you to do that. And then when you graduate, you can join a committee and you can put yourself on boards and you can start putting yourself forward saying, I'd like to do that. Yeah, actually, I'll do that. And you know what? You'll feel the fear. And don't think because you feel the fear, you're not meant to do it. This isn't a gut thing that we're meant to be like, oh, actually, I'm scared of that. I don't think I should do it. It's a feel the fear and you do it anyway. There are so many more male practice owners than female practice owners. That's crazy. Why are we not opening practices? Opening a practice is a joy. If you guys get a chance, my brand is called DRMR. It's my initials, Dr Manrina Rhode. And on my website, drmr.co.uk, there's a video of my practice. Dentistry cribs is like a thing in dentistry, and they come around to all the super clinics and they make films about it. And there's like a 12-minute video of me showing you around my clinic. My clinic is so beautiful. She's voice activated, got voice activated blinds and lights. I've got a robot chair that spins around the room. I've got a floor to ceiling gold sink with plumbing in the ceiling so that the tap comes from the ceiling down, imported from Italy. What a joy. What a joy to run my business. I've got lasers, I've got all the toys. I've got a camera built into my dental light. Why are women not doing that? Why are we like, oh, I'll just work in someone else's practice and just put up with whatever they give me? You don't need to do that. You can own your own practice, or you can be a super associate. And then again, so many of the super associates, the guys, we call them like racehorses, the ones who go out there and they win the awards and they push themselves forward and excel in dentistry. Like so many of them are men. And again, why do they have to be men? I was a super associate. I'm a practice owner. If I can do it, then you guys can do it. We can be speakers, we can be mentors, and we can be thought leaders. And we can do all of that if we speak out. Final tips. Thank you for your time. Start before you feel ready. So feel the fear and do it anyway. I wrote this thing in here, fake it till you make it. I hate that phrase. I think it's so, but this is really it, sorry, with public speaking. You kind of got to fake it. You're going to be like, I'll do it. And then be like, oh God, why did I say I'll do it? And then just do it. And do it with confidence. Walk in, put on a nice outfit, stand up straight, make a presentation and walk around and say it with confidence. And if you say it with confidence, people will probably enjoy it. Practice often, volunteer to speak in tutorials, study clubs and dental events, and know that your voice matters. Dentistry needs women who speak up and who lead. Like we really, really need that. It's really missing in our profession. So this is important. What we're doing today is really, really important. The world doesn't need more perfect speakers, it needs more brave ones. So you don't need to be really good at it, you just need to do it. Right. This is a QR code for my mailing list, for my academy. So if you want to learn more things from me, Freya and I will be making lots of content, dental educational content. So please feel free to subscribe and get the newsletter and learn about the stuff that we're teaching. It's all about personal brands and cosmetic dentistry and providing an excellent service for our patients because that's so important in dentistry. Any questions? I was going to say it's a perfect presentation. I don't need any questions. Yes. No, go on.
How was it setting up your practice from school?
I have a whole lecture. It's called Squat or Not. That's an hour. But I guess we've got like 3 minutes. Have we got 3 minutes till 12? It's such a big jump from being an associate to being a principal. And I think I was an associate for 18 years before I became a principal. And I didn't realize the jump. I worked for these people, these men actually, for 18 years. And I had so much respect for them while I worked for them. I've got so much more respect for them now. Now I know what they were doing behind the scenes. My passion is clinical dentistry. I really love it. I love what I do is porcelain veneers. You know, love them or hate them. That's what I do. I do every day. That's my treatment. And I love it. I love doing my clinical dentistry. It's like meditation for me. It really gives me a lot of joy. Running a business has been a whole new skill set that I've had to learn. That's been incredibly challenging. Is it rewarding? Yes. You know, I could have stayed as an associate and I had an excellent life with an excellent quality of life and an excellent salary. But through being a practice owner, there's been so much discomfort, but so much exponential growth for me as a person. I could have stayed where I was, and that's fine where I was. It was good where I was. I was a super associate. But where I am now, despite how hard it's been pretty frigging awesome and epic.
Do you feel like handling that admin side took away a little bit from your clinical dentistry?
So I still do 3 days clinical dentistry like I used to do as an associate. Like from the age of 30, I cut down to 3 days. And yeah, I love those. But whereas before I only worked 3 days and I was 4 days off. So I was off more than I was on. Holidays once a month, gym, hanging out with friends. Like I was saying to my team, I used to get blow dries once a week, perfect nails all the time. Like, you know, I was living this great life. Now it's like me getting a blow dry is like, whoa, once every 3 months, so exciting. Never do my nails. I still try and go to the gym, but it's really hard to fit it in my schedule. I have to wake up super early to go before work. And now I work definitely 5 days a week, maybe 12-hour days, and probably weekends. But not clinically, but just working on the business, not in the business. Because now I've got 2 businesses. I've got my little associate business, which is my 3 days a week, where I'm a clinical dentist. I've got 2 jobs, and I've got my business owner business. I mean, and I also run an academy, and I've got a product line. So, I mean, I stand it to myself. But I guess the difference is that, like, at the weekend, when people are like, oh, Manrina, why do you do it? Why are you working? It's the weekend. I'm like, what? There's nothing else I want to do. You know, if you gave me another 40 hours in my day, I wouldn't spend it going to a spa or, like, hanging out. I mean, I like to read books, but I read every night for an hour before I go to bed anyway. I work on my business because I love it. I love, like, if I wasn't here today, I would have woken up, had breakfast with my partner, maybe we would have gone for a walk, and then I would have gone and done a bit of work on my business because it's so exciting. And then once I'd had done a bit of that, and I already did that this morning, to be fair. I went on my laptop, did a bit of work for the business. And then when I've had enough of that, then, okay, I'll stop and maybe I'll watch some TV or read a book or, you know, go and see friends, whatever it is. But I jump in and out of work because I love it so much. So it's a different thing, like being an entrepreneur or running a business. It's another job. It just depends if you want 1 job or 2 or 3 or 4. Anyone else?
What was the reason you waited so long to open your own practice?
I think I had such good work-life balance, and I really do love clinical dentistry. Some people don't. Like, some people graduate and they don't find their way in it, which is such a shame because we're actually so lucky to be dentists, and you guys are so lucky to have got into dental school and have this epic career ahead of you. But it's not for everyone, right? And we need to all speak to our own essence. And actually within that, I think finding your essence within dentistry is so important. If you're someone who likes to do a little bit of everything, then you become a general dentist and you do that, and that's great, and you'll really enjoy the variety in your day. But if you don't, if you like to be really quite specific and intricate tasks, you know, maybe you just want to become an endodontist and do root canal all day. And if it's within your essence, you'll really love it. You know, maybe you like cleaning things and gardening. I don't know, a periodontist was fighting with me because I called him a gum gardener, but then, you know, maybe you want to become a periodontist and you want to clean gums all day. Maybe you love making things beautiful. I love making things I love beauty. I love making things look nice. So for me, being a cosmetic dentist really fits within my essence. It really gives me a lot of joy, and I really enjoy my day. So you find the bits that you enjoy. And maybe some people don't. Maybe they just want to be business people. Maybe they've gone into dentistry, maybe not for the wrong reasons, but like they enjoy like selling making money and selling in treatment plans, like, maybe that's their thing. So maybe they want to step away from clinical, maybe that's not the right environment for them, and then business is better for them. And so you kind of find your place. And for me, it's clinical dentistry. So my 18 years as an associate were wonderful. And all my friends that were buying their practices were looking at me and saying, I don't think you need to do it, Manrina. Like, I was like, should I do it? Should I do it? They're like, your life is excellent. You've got this 6-figure salary, you're Porsche 911, you've house in Knightsbridge, you've got great lifestyle, you work 3 days a week, you're off more than you're on. Why would you change that? Like, why would you change that balance, that wonderful balance that you've got? And they were right, they were right. But then I think I just got to a stage, and it was around COVID and around turning 40 for me, that was like, you know what, I've really got this burning thing in me. I've got this vision of this perfect clinic. And if I don't do it now, I'm a little bit worried I'll never do it. And I can always be an associate again, because I can build this clinic, I can sell it, and I can go back to working for someone. But maybe I'll get too old and then not do this and look back and think, well, why didn't I build my clinic? And so I did it. So that's why it took me a while, because I wasn't sure. And then eventually it was like, okay, it's time. And I'm glad I did. I think that's it. Yeah, thank you guys.